What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul, and this is Gainer's Paradise. In today's episode, we're coming hot off the 2022 Olympia, so I thought what better thing to do than to dive in on some of the greatest posing in the business, and we're going to dissect Chris Bumstead's classic physique winning posing routine here on this episode. And with that in mind, there's a couple things we need to keep at the forefront of the discussion. Number one, this is about classic physique, not men's open. It's slightly different. There's some similarities, but it will be specific to the class. Number two, let's talk about what the judges are looking for when they're judging somebody like Chris Bumstead on stage. And this is straight off the IFBB website under rules for the men's classic physique, section 17. It says, the judges will look for a smooth, artistic, and well-choreographed routine, which may include any number of poses. However, the mandatory poses must be included, and the competitor must also include intermittent poses so as to display the muscular development of his physique. Now, that begs the question, what are the mandatory poses? Like I mentioned before, we're talking specifically about men's classic physique rather than men's open. So while it is similar, there are some differences. The first difference is that there's not as many poses that are mandatory. The second difference is the style in which they pose the same poses are geared towards that golden era look that we're all familiar with from guys like Arnold or Frank Zane. So what are the mandatory poses? In the case of men's classic physique, there are 5 of them. The first one is the front double bicep. The second one is the side chest pose. The third one is the back double bicep. The fourth one is the abs and thigh. And of course, it's been popular among the men's classic physique competitors to throw in the vacuum. And then the last pose is their favorite classic physique pose. But with all of that knowledge going into this, we can finally dissect this routine, find out what's great about it, find out why it hit with the judges, and find out what you can use to be a better bodybuilder and maximize your posing potential in the process. So his routine looks like it was about 2.5 minutes long. Of course, he starts here by walking out with that light behind him. You see his silhouette. In this case, Chris Bumstead's known for his aesthetic silhouette. I mean, he can even look good with that backlighting like nobody else. He goes straight for that front double bicep. Again, mandatory poses are required in the routine. Now, something I really like about his routine is he took advantage of his height and he did some what I would call leg work poses or groundwork poses, in that he would not only hit his standing poses, but he would kneel down, he would lunge to the side. You'll see it in a few variations. Here's one right now. That pose is very reminiscent of a Bob Paris. If you guys know anything about Bob Paris, he was one of the greatest posers in bodybuilding in the 80s. But again, not only does he mix up his high and low posing, but he's also adding in some of his what I would call kill shots in the process. You'll see also that a lot of his posing includes transitions. Again, that's part of the choreographed portion of what the judges are looking for. The transitions would be just as important as the pose itself, as you don't want to just go from one to the other without it making sense. It's kind of like a song missing some notes, and how did you get to that chord, right? It's the same thing in bodybuilding posing. But unless you were living under a rock, you know now that, of course, he won his 4th men's classic physique Olympia. So let's see if he checks all the boxes in the routine. Was it smooth? Absolutely. Artistic? Absolutely. The transitions were dialed in, and just as important in his routine as the main poses themselves. There were no hiccups. There were no awkward movements from one pose to the next. There were no moments where you might have thought that he forgot where he was going next. It's well practiced, it's well positioned, and he's hitting everything with grace and power. But what you see here is everything had an intention, everything had a purpose, everything had a dramatic effect. In addition to the quality posing, the quality transitions, you see his stage presence was at the ultimate level, meaning he knew he was there to be the show rather than compete in a show. He knew that people came to see him, and he was ready to present the best package possible. And we can all appreciate him throwing that crab most muscular at the end there, a crowd favorite when you can pull it off. And then he finished with what would be more of a classic most muscular into a few variations of that. And then ending his routine on the ultimate classic pose, the victory pose with a vacuum. There's nothing more classic than that. So like Tony Robbins has said many times in the past, the best way to become one of the best is to model the best. So we go straight to the top. We look at the pros. We look at the best of the best in any field. And in this case, classic posing by Chris Bumstead. Comment below and tell me what you thought about the routine, why it stood out to you, and what hit home on the topics that we talked about today. If you liked the video, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell for more. Until next time, keep training, keep gaining, and I will see you in the next episode.